Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
Welcome everybody to the Animation Station Podcast, episode 141. My name is Josh, and today I have a very special guest, someone near and dear to my heart, someone near and dear to your hearts, and probably the only person who can come on this show and say, I know Kung Fu, Mr. Adam McArthur.
All right, yes. What's up? How's it going, Josh?
Pretty good. How's it going, Adam?
It's going great. I'm, just sitting in my office doing Kung Fu while we speak. So you nailed it. And I love that I'm near and dear to everyone's hearts.
Oh, always.
That's
always.
So much to me.
I mean, yeah, I've got a bubble tea here just for you. So it's sitting. It's getting really melty. So it's like condensation is dripping off the side of it right now. So probably should drink that soon. So.
Don't let me keep you. Yeah. I would never hold anybody back from experiencing the joy that is bubble tea.
It tastes good. All right, so first off, Adam, for those of our wonderful fans who don't know a little bit about you, so just give us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? Who is Adam McArthur?
Oh man, such a deep question. This is gonna be your longest podcast ever. No, I'm just kidding.
No, man, I had Bryce Pappenbrook on, and we went for 3 hours. So
oh my gosh.
If you can beat that,
that's amazing. As you said, my name is Adam McArthur. I am an actor. I'm living in Los Angeles. I currently voice Marco Diaz on Star versus the Forces of Evil, which originally aired on Disney XD, which is going to be moving over to Disney Channel for season 4. I'm also the voice of Disney XD, so if you watch Disney XD at all and you hear somebody saying, coming up next on Disney XD, that's me. I work on various other voice things around town and do this and that, but I am an actor, and that's the short and sweet version of who I am and what I do.
And you've done stuff for like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, like Puss in Boots, some of the Final Fantasy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm doing this and that, here and there, everywhere.
And so let's go ahead and just get started with what I know everybody wants to talk about. Let's talk about the Booth and Busco.
Okay.
So let's talk about the photography.
Okay. All right.
So is that something that you've always been passionate about?
Actually, no. I have always been passionate about business and being an entrepreneur. I find business very fascinating. I grew up in a household. My mom always had a job. She worked from the time I was 6 months old. She worked for a utility company for 35 years in Northern California. My dad was a police officer for a long time, got injured on the job. And fortunately, in his last couple years of being a police officer, he started his own alarm installation company, which he still has up in the Bay Area. He started it in the late 70s. Oh, nice. He still does that today. So I grew up in a household where owning your own business was just, sort of a way of life. It was normal for me. And when I moved to Los Angeles about 15 years ago, I moved and started. I was pursuing acting in Northern California, but I started pursuing it down here pretty much as soon as I moved down here. And I was in school at the time. So after 2 years, when I was finished up with school, I had a lot of free time in between auditions and whatnot. So the idea of starting a business and kind of creating something for myself that allowed me to have the freedom to go on auditions and do jobs when I wanted is what sort of started me down the path of creating a business. And the Booth and Busco wasn't my first business. I had a company called Wushu Silks where I partnered with a company in China to create custom martial arts uniforms for people who wanted to compete in fancy uniforms. That was such a niche group of people who wanted that. It wasn't.
I'm trying to think. I was like, so basically, any sort of like Karate Kid martial arts tournament, you were there to supply the Daniel Russos.
Yeah. The uniforms that they would wear. Exactly. But it was,
Nobody's gonna get that reference.
yeah, well,
Like,
I
no
did.
one's gonna get that reference.
I did. And if you don't get Karate Kid references, go get an education. Um, but yeah, so I started that business, and then I actually did another martial arts related business, both of which were great learning experiences, but not necessarily viable once I was, getting into sort of like the nuances of making them successful.
Okay.
And then a good buddy of mine, he and his wife are husband and wife wedding photographers, and they had a mentor at the time who was encouraging them to create sort of a photo booth company as a branch of their business. And they don't live in Los Angeles, but I offered to help them start their company and kind of help them run it. And then after doing that for about a year, I decided to do it down in Los Angeles. And that was in 2011. So 7 years ago is when I started it. We do all different kinds of photo booth events. We do small little parties all the way to like multi-day corporate events. We have 2 vintage Volkswagen buses with photo booths built inside. We do a lot of really cool custom kind of like mid-century modern aesthetic stuff. But that company, I created the company out of the need to want to be an actor and pursue my dreams and not feel the pressure when I walked into a room or behind a mic to book a job. I just could do it to have fun, which is why I love doing it, and not have the monetary pressure there. So it's cool. It's been fantastic. I've been not only busy with that, but as you know, busy on Star and all the other stuff that I do too. So it's been great that everything has been busy. The Booth and Busco, I think last year, I haven't done our final total, but we did about 250 events last year, which is which is pretty good. I have full-time staff that work under me that help run things when I'm running off to auditions or to sessions and stuff like that. So it's been a really, really fantastic. I can't. Everyone, I want to say acting is definitely my focus. So historically, I would say it's been a great side business, but it's truly not necessarily a side business anymore. It can't be classified as that. We've been hitting those sort of that amount of events per year for the past maybe like 4 or 5 years. So it's definitely a full-time job. I just like to tell people that I have 2 full-time jobs, and and it's they both complement each other very nicely.
Nice. Okay, so let's we'll transition from the business into the other business. So we'll kind of go into the acting. So,
cool.
So being a business, kind of growing up like with that business mindset. What made acting kind of happen? So how did that all start?
Yeah, some of my earliest memories are wanting to be an actor. I don't know necessarily where that came from. I'm from a family. I have 3 siblings. 2 of them are my half siblings. We have different moms. My older brother and older sister are 10 years and 12 years older than me. And then I have a little sister who I'm closer to. So my older brother and older sister left when I was pretty young. And, I was sort of the oldest child in relation to my little sister and us just being the 2 kids in the house. But I definitely still had sort of a middle child experience because I did have older brothers and older sisters that came and went, since they were a little bit older, they kind of came and went throughout my childhood. So I was always the one who wanted to like entertain and make people laugh and do voices, and Jim Carrey was a huge inspiration. And,
okay.
So physical comedy has always been I've been a huge fan of physical comedy and that kind of stuff. So I've always just wanted to do it. I've always just wanted to be an actor. On camera, voice, all of it. People ask me like, oh, do you want to do on camera? And I've actually done quite a bit of on camera.
I saw you, Mr. Axe body spray.
Oh, hey now. Yeah. Hey now.
Over here, scandalous in just a towel, sir.
I know. It was I had to think twice, do I want to give this to the public, But yeah, I've always just wanted to do it. And when I was 16 years old, my parents signed me up for an acting class in San Francisco. and I got my first agent shortly thereafter, booked my first job shortly thereafter, and then did a couple movies up there and did a bunch of voiceover work. I used the money that I earned to produce an animation demo, and then a couple years after that, when I moved to LA, that it helped me secure my first agent in Los Angeles, and it's sort of been, that's been it.
After that.
Yeah, kind of just how it went. I bounced around to a couple of different agencies here in Los Angeles, and the current agency that I'm with, CESD, is phenomenal, is sort of like downplaying it. They're fantastic. The agents are amazing. They're not only good at their jobs, they're great people and amazing to work with. And they've really helped me put my career on an upward trajectory, which is really awesome. And I'm eternally grateful to have such a great team to work with to do all this cool stuff.
I'll agree with that. They've been very nice to work with.
Awesome. Good. I like to hear that.
So I know that a lot of the people are here for Star vs. Forces of Evil, and they're probably like, hurry up and get to it. So we'll get to it. We'll get to it later. We'll get to it later.
I thought they were here for the Booth and Busco. What the hell?
That was one aspect of the show, was the Booth and Busco. That was like the business majors. They're like, oh yes. So how did you get actually started with the animation side?
I've always wanted to do cartoons. When I lived in San Francisco, this was back in the days when like CD-ROMs were a thing. So I did a bunch of like
those awesome computer games.
Yeah, those awesome computer games. I did a bunch of like educational stuff that went out on CD-ROMs that like helped people in other countries how to speak English. And these are the kind of jobs that were common in the Bay Area, like more industrial kind of VO projects. But they were still animated nonetheless, and it was always just a lot of fun. I grew up in the 80s, so I loved Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe and Transformers and all these things that had amazing voice casts, and I used to imitate them, and even the 90s shows, Animaniacs and all that, Tiny Toons and Looney Tunes, of course. But as far as like kind of my first big thing here in Los Angeles, about a month after I signed with my agency, I booked the 3-episode arc on Star Wars Clone Wars, which was on Cartoon Network. And that was a wild experience. I auditioned. I had no idea what I booked, but I knew I booked something. I was just told, all right, you booked the role of, and it was some code name. I had no idea, what my character's name even was, because they kept that series so secretive.
Yeah.
So I got to the job, and I walked in, and one of the assistants came out and handed me a piece of paper, and it said, "Dear Mr. McArthur, on behalf of George Lucas, we'd like to welcome you to the Star Wars family." Okay, now let me tell you, walking into that, having no idea what I booked, and then getting a letter that welcomes me to the Star Wars family was probably one of the coolest things that had ever happened to me at that point in my life.
That's framed, right?
You know what? It's not framed.
Oh, man.
Only because I have very limited wall space because I have so many other things hanging on my wall, but I definitely still have it, of course. Yeah, so that was my first sort of big experience in animation. I also worked just before that. LeBron James had an animated series for a while called the LeBarons, and it was based off of a series of Sprite commercials that he did where there was...
Hold on. I'm just thinking of how you pitch that.
Pitch what? The LeBron?
How you pitch that show. You're just like, all right, guys, so I've got an idea for a new animated series.
Yep.
We're going to base it off these Sprite commercials, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how does that... I'm just thinking, it's like, how would that go? It's just like, in those, like, okay, guys, I think... So, these Sprite commercials where we have, like, different versions of LeBron James? How about we do that, but then we just make it animated and make it an actual series?
Here's how I think any animation pitch actually goes with LeBron James. Hey, guys, I'm LeBron James. and then they just say, okay, whatever you want. I think that's how it
It's like,
works.
do you want to do Looney Tunes? Like, what do you want to do? I mean, how do you want to do the new Space Jam? What's the plan here?
Well, you know what? In its like initial season, it was actually a really awesome show. It was short form. I can't remember if it aired on YouTube or if it was like an Xbox partnership when Xbox was. I think this was like them trying to do original content, but LeBron wanted to do a series that was short form that had a good message, kind of like, gosh, what was it like? It was sort of like Fat Albert and Bebe's Kids, but with like a positive lesson at the end.
Okay.
And it was 2D animation in season 1, and it looked really, really good. I played like one of the friends of his like nephew or something like that. But yeah, season 2 and 3 of that show kind of went off the rails. They switched it to 3D animation, but it was really, really awful 3D animation. It looked like The Sims. It literally looked like The Sims game. It was it was leagues behind what was currently on TV that it just totally lost. In my opinion, it just lost the thing that made it charming, which was this beautiful 2D animation that was in season 1. So if people want to check it out, I think you can find it on YouTube. I would definitely recommend checking out season 1, and that kind of it. The intentions were good behind it initially, and I think it just went through so many creative changes and hands that it sort of just went downhill. But I worked on that show, which I'm still grateful to have worked on. And I worked with a lot of amazing voice actors and made a lot of friends on that show. Dinsey Papillon and Andrew Kishino and some other really, really talented voice actors. So I did that. I did Clone Wars, and then I did a couple of pilots for Disney XD UK, which was an interesting sort of experience. All my sessions were really late because of the time change, and a lot of them were series that had already been airing in other countries that they were dubbing. So I did a lot of dubbed pilots for Disney XD at the beginning too, and then worked here and there on stuff. And then in October of 2013 is when I booked Star versus the Forces of Evil.
So let's kind of. Oh, and by the way, I did just pull up the LeBarons TV show. That animation looks really good, the 2D.
Yep.
And then yeah, I see what you mean when they made that switch to sim stuff.
It was heartbreaking.
Why?
It was heartbreaking. That show, the first season, there was a premiere party. LeBron was there. Mark Cuban was there. Brian Glazier, I think that's his name, like the big Hollywood producer, was there. I mean, it was a big deal. They projected the first 3 episodes on like a big wall in a soundstage in Hollywood, and there was this whole party. There was a ton of hype around it. And then they're like, we got a season 2, and everyone's excited, and we get there, and they're like, they did facial capture for the characters, but it was just, I don't know, it was just not good. It was not good.
It looks like a really bad like video game.
I totally agree. That's why I say it looked like early Sims video games. One of the it was also like, I mean, not to like, look, I would totally work with any of these people again. Individually, they were all incredibly talented. I think there was just a lot of cooks in the kitchen, which is never good.
Yeah.
Because then you just sort of lose any originality and sort of, when you're following one person, you kind of have the ability to take risks. But when, the level of risk kind of just gets boiled down to really safe, boring. And that's, I think, what happened. But the voice director on that was Michael Bell, who, was in the Smurfs and G.I. Joe and Transformers. Yeah. He's sort of a legendary VO guy. So that was a cool experience getting to work with him. And, he's a phenomenal director and speaks actor, which I love. He gets it.
So going off of Star, what was what exactly was that like that audition like? So I mean, obviously, it's Disney. They're going to keep you somewhat in the dark. But like, what all did you go into for? Like, what was your mindset going into that audition?
I mean, truthfully, my mindset was just like any other audition. I mean, I always obviously am trying to do my best and bring something fun and original to the direction that I'm given on my scripts for the auditions. So truthfully, the first time I auditioned, it was kind of like any other audition. However, I will say, the description that I was given was like, he's the best friend of this like wild rebel princess. He is the safe kid, even though he kind of wants to be the bad boy. And I'm like, oh man, this is they're describing me. Like I've always wanted, like with martial arts and stuff like that. Like I always wanted to be this like, this like really super cool dude. But I like to play it safe. I follow the rules. I'll bend the rules, but I'm not a rule breaker. I like to follow the rules. I think rules are helpful.
It makes life a lot easier if you follow the rules. You
know what? It really does. That is a huge piece of sage advice that you just gave all your listeners. But yeah, it was very similar to many of my other auditions. And then I got a call back and I went in and I'm trying to think. I can't remember if I met Eden at my callback. I think I did one callback alone, and then I had a second callback for that, in which they had Eden and I both read essentially the pilot episode, which is mostly her and I. Mm-hmm. So we read that episode together, and I felt like they kind of kept me in the dark. I felt like it was sort of like a chemistry test. Like, could we read together? Did we sound good together? And could we play off of each other and whatnot? But it was still like I would go to those callbacks and leave, and it would be, radio silence for a couple of weeks. And I was sitting at home twiddling my thumbs and praying and hoping and wishing and all that good stuff. And about that time, I actually booked a documentary where I was going to be traveling to China to spend some time at the Shaolin Temple, which is a famous martial arts kung fu temple, and hosting a documentary about my experience doing that. So I kind of left and was distracted by that. And that documentary, I traveled to China, I traveled to Russia, and the trip and the show culminated in Los Angeles. And I was in my hotel room in downtown LA, and I got a call from my agent, mm-hmm. and I saw that it was her calling, and I had this feeling. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the call where I find out that I booked Star versus the Forces of Evil. I couldn't answer it. I was like, oh no, I couldn't answer it. I'm pacing around the room. The phone's on the bed. I'm like staring at it. And I'm like, no, like stop ringing. I'm screaming at the phone. I'm sure if anyone saw me doing that, they'd be like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? So when someone calls you and they leave a voicemail, usually the voicemail pops up right away. Like, oh, they just said like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. Call me back. Well, I didn't get a voicemail, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't get a voicemail. I'm going to have to call him back. I'm going to have to see who called me. I'm going to have to call him back. And then like 2 minutes goes by and a voicemail pops up. And I'm like, oh no. Like, oh no, in a good way. It was a long voicemail. That must mean it's good news. So
yeah, if you didn't book it, they'd be like, yeah, sorry, Adam. They gave it to somebody else. They're not going to leave you a 2-minute voicemail saying, well, Adam, so here's what they liked about you, but here's what they didn't like about you.
Exactly. So I pick up the phone and I call my mom. I call my mom first. I was like, I have a voicemail on my phone. I think they're going to tell me. She's like, what is wrong with you? Listen to your voicemail. I'm like, okay, let me listen to my voicemail. And sure enough, it was my agent, Pat Brady at CESD, telling me that I booked Marco Diaz, the voice of Marco Diaz on Star versus the Forces of Evil. And that was my first straight to series VO job. And yeah, been now working on that show for over 5 years, which is wild.
So what have been some of your experiences with Star? I mean, you've gone to Comic-Con, which I'm sure was a dream.
Yep.
So you've gone to Comic-Con, you've been doing all kinds of interactions with fans, all these panels. You've been doing those cool little things that Disney XD was doing, where they would hop you on and you would answer
Oh yeah,
Basically do like an AMA type thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, all of it has been so cool. Disney is phenomenal. The fan interaction has been phenomenal. I love doing things like Comic-Con and those live animated chats and stuff like that. It's just really been cool. Personally, I've gotten to meet a lot of really amazing people. People like the marketing people at Disney Channel are really, really phenomenally sweet people. The people who do social media for XD and for Channel, they're all really amazing people. Of course, the Star crew is amazing. The people who Disney casting is phenomenal. I mean, like such a good group of people. Anytime I get to hang out with them at Comic-Con and spend time not just in a work environment but actually outside of work and get time to spend with them, I am super, super grateful for, because they're all it's just such a fun group of people to know and to have interacted with. But yeah, I mean, the highlights for me are always fan interaction stuff. I love things like Comic-Con and panels, and Gallery Nucleus here in Los Angeles did a whole Star versus the Forces of Evil curated gallery, and we did a panel there, and yeah, that's been really phenomenal. Anytime I get to interact with any of the other actors on the show, we did a big group record towards the end of last year. But like Ryder Strong was there, Jenny Slate was there, of course Eden was there, Dana Davis was there.
God, you guys had the whole crew.
We had the whole crew. Yeah, it was really fun. So, I mean, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Like I'm a fan of, like, I've always been a collector of things like toys and comic books, and I'm a fan of things as well. So I get fandoms and why they like things, and so it's cool to have a direct interaction or a direct ability to interact with fans, on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun for me. I really, really enjoy it.
And you've got a Funko.
So, I've got
you're freaking winning, man. You got a freaking Funko.
I've got a freaking Funko. Actually, I have. It's funny because Funko sent me a bunch. Which, shout out to Funko. Thank you for sending me some. But I have so many people that I wanted to give them to. They're all gone, and I'm like, well, shoot, I need more. So I placed an order. I've never. I don't think I've ever purchased anything from Hot Topic, and I was like, I gotta go to Hot Topic. So I went to Hot Topic and ordered a bunch of Marco Diaz Funkos so that I can sign them and give them away to people, because I find that fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
oh, man. Geez, I mean, I'm just trying to think of all of the stuff that you've got. I mean, you also have a little you also have a Star Wars toy.
I do?
I thought so.
What?
I thought when I was looking up pictures, I thought I saw a toy for your character from Clone Wars.
Of Princely Char? Okay, hold on.
I thought so. I mean, that may have just been that may have been a. Now I'm doubting myself.
It's okay. No. It's okay. I am looking as well at the current moment. Maybe there's a trading card. There's a trading card.
Maybe I got confused. It's very possible that I saw a trading card and was like, toy.
Yeah. Which is A-okay. And it's never too late. George Lucas. So if you're listening to this, make a toy of Princely Char. The fans want it. Actually,
we're demanding it.
Just my mom wants it. But don't tell them that.
Oh no! It's everybody's clamoring for that Moncal.
I mean, it's cool. We finally got Funkos for Star. I'm actually really hoping that they do a wave 2, because it would be really fun to see some like a Princess Marco or gosh, there's so many. I would love to see an adult Marco, like the 30-year-old.
Yeah, 30-year-old Marco with the chest.
Yep, with the chest and the abs and the scissors and everything. Ugh, sign me up.
They'll need a model. So
I better get to the gym. Better get to the gym quick.
So you've had a lot of fan interactions. What have been some of your favorite fan interactions? I know that's a tough one.
No, actually, it's not.
It's one of those where it's like, it's on like that pinnacle of like stuff that you're not supposed to ask, where you're like, so, what's your favorite thing you've ever done? Like, you never ask that question.
Yes. No. No, this is a totally acceptable question, and I actually have an answer. My favorite fan interactions are the ones where, like at a con, I'll see someone in cosplay, and I'll walk up and ask them for a picture, and like I would say maybe 40% of the time, 40% of the time, or 30% of the time, they don't know who I am, which is totally acceptable. They know my voice. I understand that, they might not follow me on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. So, and usually it's like slightly younger people, and I'll walk up and I'll be like, "Hey, oh my gosh, I love Star versus the Forces of Evil. Can I get a picture?" And they're always like, I would say sometimes they're like, yeah, sure. Like not super ecstatic to take a photo.
It's like, weird man.
Yeah, yeah, with some rando dude. And then, I'll get my picture, and it's always on my phone. It's not like they're taking out a camera to take a picture with me at that point. And then, I'll casually drop the knowledge. I'll be like, "Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, I actually voiced Marco on the show." And to watch their demeanor change from like slightly annoyed doing their duty of taking a photo with the person who likes their cosplay to realizing that they're talking to somebody who voices on the show that they love enough to cosplay is my favorite thing to see. I mean, it's like 7,000 emotions wash over the face of the person as their brain is forming synapses right before my very eyes, making the connection that I voice Marco. So that happens every convention. I always make a point to take a picture.
Now what we need to do though is we need to have like some sort of crew follow you around so that they can film that, because I want to see those interactions.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. And people go from like totally fully, able to communicate effectively and form sentences to stammering and stuttering and turning bright red. And it's precious. I love it. Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Are you going to make it to D23 this year?
Is it in June or July? I actually don't even know.
I believe it is in, part of me wants to say August, but I do not think that's correct.
Gotcha. I'm sure that I'll be there. Are you going?
That's the plan. The plan is
nice.
We were there last year, and I saw that you were there like in spirit.
Yeah,
like,
actually,
not like actually at the thing, because like I personally I was hoping that you would crash, because I went to that because they did a Gravity Falls and like Star like book panel, and it had Darren was there and Alex was there, and there were a bunch of the the writers and illustrators and everything. So I was hoping that you were gonna pop up, and because like where we were sitting, it was me and one of my co-hosts, and I was sitting in front of a Star and a Marco cosplayer, and sitting beside a Star, and then there was like another Star behind. So I was like, we're just surrounded over. It's like a galaxy.
Yep. The Star versus fans are amazing when it comes to that. They're always out there cosplaying Star and Marco, which is the best. But and I don't want to disappoint you, but I actually was there.
I know. I saw after the fact, and I was like, I saw your Insta, and I was like, dang it.
Yep. Yeah. No, I was in the way back for that panel, and then I was kind of just cruising around. I had never been to a D23, so I wanted to check it out and see what it was all about. And there wasn't any, obviously, like an official panel for the show. It was just for the book. So I did crash the autograph signing, though. I went and sat with Darren and Dominic, who's an EP, and also he was one of the writers on both books, actually. The Star and Marco's Guide to Mastering Every Dimension and the Magic Book of Spells. But I can't remember. Were they talking about the Magic Book of Spells, or were they talking about the
Star and Marco's Guide had come out, and they were teasing the spell book. They just had like a few little like stills for it.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Oh, we've also got this thing," and they just kind of like showed it on the screen, and they were like, "Ooh, look at it." But then that was it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I hung out with them while they were doing some signings. So I signed a couple of books that day, and
Nice.
hung out with them. But yeah, I was kind of there a little incognito.
Well, it's the end of August this year. So
Awesome.
August 23rd through the 25th is what it says.
Okay.
So, we're gonna be there. We've got a lot of good friends there. Like one of our sister podcast is gonna be there. Our good friend, the artist Jared Mariyama, is gonna be there. So we're gonna hit them up. Probably hit up Disney while we're there too, since I mean it's right there.
You have to. Yep.
So why not? So if you're there and we're there, we'll stop by the parks and we'll eat some beignets.
Oh man, I love the beignets. I actually just went to Disneyland like 2 weeks ago
Ah, lucky duck.
and got in line for the beignets, and they're like, "Ah, we're sorry, the fryers are broken." I was like, "No, no."
That's
You
when
would
you're like, well, I'll wait until you fix them because I'm not leaving Disneyland without a beignet.
Well, so my thing is, I mean, I always ask a million questions to people. I'm probably like the guy who's super annoying when something like that happens. But I walked up to one of the cashiers and I'm like, "All right, look, so I understand that the fryers are not working. Historically, do these things go out and not come back for the rest of the day, or is this going to be down for like an hour? Like I should go wait in line at Splash Mountain and then come back by?" She was like, "Oh, they're never down all day." I'm like, "Perfect." So I went on Splash Mountain, came back, the beignet line was open, got some beignets, and fulfilled my destiny.
See, I've never been on Splash. Like, I've gone. I mean, if I go, this will probably be like my fifth time. But I've never gone on Splash because I don't like wet clothes.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like I don't want to like
Yep.
tromp through Disneyland with like wetness.
Yep, I'm totally with you. And again, another thing I have in common with Marco Diaz is wet socks. The loathing of wet
Ugh.
socks. I absolutely hate wet socks. So yeah, Splash Mountain isn't one that I will typically go on. However, it was already raining in Disneyland when I was there, and I had purchased a poncho. And when I went on Splash Mountain, I was like, you know what, this is gonna be great. And I tucked my knees up onto the seat, and I was fully encased by a Disney poncho, and it was a fantastic experience. I didn't have to get wet, although I got to experience the joy of the ride. And yeah, that's how I highly suggest experiencing Splash Mountain.
Next time I go, I will get a poncho. And
Yep.
Make sure to cover myself fully.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh geez. Okay. So Adam. So we'll kind of go back. We'll end with Star. We'll end with
Okay.
Star.
Okay.
What have been one of your favorite scenes that you've recorded?
Ooh,
I know
man.
you got to do the song.
Yep, I got to do the song. Ryder and I duetted, and we, if that's a word, duetted. We did a duet. We have,
It is now. Duetted is
Oh,
a noun.
yeah, perfect.
I'm sorry,
Duetted.
duetted's a verb, not a noun.
No, let's make it a noun.
Let's make it a
Uh,
noun, an adverb, an adjective, and it's a conjunction. So congrats.
Yep, I like it. Duetted it. Um, Gosh, what have been my favorite things to record? There's been so many, and actually, this is such a lame answer, but there will be a significant amount of things that I absolutely loved recording coming out in season 4 of Star. Season 4 is such a wild ride. Where season 4 starts, which is pretty much where season 3 ended, which most people have seen at this point. Where that season starts to where it ends is, I mean, it's crazy. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to happen so fast. But I'm really, really excited for people to get to see a lot of the episodes that we recorded for season 4. I did really love the Running with Scissors episodes.
Oh, nice.
And anytime I get to voice adult Marco, it's just fun doing him as an adult also. It's fun to be able to do multiple characters in the same episode. It's, vocal gymnastics, which for a voice actor is, it's just a lot of fun. So Running with Scissors is one of my favorite ones. Anytime we get like a really sincere moment, or like the show slows down and there's like a realization moment, and Marco has had quite a few of them.
Especially last season. Last season, his character he's got it a lot. He got it in the feels a lot. A lot of stuff kind of came crumbling down.
Yeah, totally. The episode with Booth Buddies, stuff that I know is going to get fans riled up too, is always really exciting. Because the hard part is keeping it in. Like I'm really bad at keeping stuff in and surprising people. Like in my real life, if I get someone a gift and their birthday's like a month away, chances of them getting that gift early are pretty high. Because I'm just so excited to give them something. But yeah, there's been quite a few things. The Goblin Dogs episode was a lot of fun. That one partially because it was hard to know what the episode was going to look like in the end. So sometimes and they had that whole like really trippy scene after we had the Goblin Dogs. And as I'm reading the script, I'm like, what in the heck is happening? But then you see it and you're like, oh wow, that's really awesome. So yeah, I mean, truthfully, and again, this is sort of a lame answer, it's all so fun to me. I love Marco as a character. I love voicing on the show. I think the show is so fun. And it's all just such a treat to be able to work on, especially with the amazing crew and Darren and her vision and Dominic and Kelly Ward, who's the voice director on Star, who is another – he's been around for a long time. He was actually one of John Travolta's like buddies in Grease.
Really?
And he's been on Broadway, and he's a tap dancer, and he's a voice actor, and he's an on-camera actor, and he's everything. And so working with him has been phenomenal, and yeah, it's all been really, really amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's good that you're doing something that you like. Because I mean, like if you hated that show, it would, I was like, what would be the point,
Right. And what's cool is, having worked on, look, I didn't hate working on the LeBarons. I don't hate working on anything because work is work. And, you're going to work on stuff that might not be super popular or that people might not respond to the way that people have responded to Star and all that. So as an actor, it's not about, will people like this? For me, it's about like, how can I do my job the best? But it is really amazing being on a show that people have responded to in such a positive and excited way, and that people love, and people love Marco, and it does make me really happy that I have contributed to the joy of others by just loving this little guy and doing my best to give him a voice.
That's awesome. I do have one audience question here though.
Cool.
Let me see. Sorry, let me pull it up.
Is it STARCO related?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm trying to find the username. Oh God, did I not write the username down? No, it's on my iPad. Crap. Well, it was. I picked one, and it was who's your ship in Star. So who's your ship in Star? I mean, I think it's easy.
Yeah, it's so easy, and at this point, I mean, I'm not shy about what I am hoping happens. I'm the captain of the STARCO ship, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I think, we've seen some awesome stuff with like Tom and Star, and man, actually, I was going to say something else, but I can't remember if it's season 4 and it's something that's been unseen, or if it's something that we've already seen. And
I'm sorry, guys. I tried to trip him up, but he was too clever. I tried to get us.
Yeah, you can't mess with the master of trolling. Look, I'm so good. I'm so good at dangling carrots. You can't trick me. But I think we've seen what is it? Lava Lake Beach?
Yes. Yeah. That was season 3. Yeah. Yeah,
that was season 3. So there's like a little bit of Marco and Kelly in there, which is cool to explore. Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's fun to explore these things, and who knows where it will end up. But I just think that Star and Marco belong together, man. I'm not ashamed to say it.
I'm right there with you, man. Well, it's one of those, like, when you see it for the first time, like episode 1, you're like, yeah, this is end game. We know this is the end game right here.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's meant to be.
Yeah, it's not something that you're going to introduce a new character in season 4 that's just going to come and sweep Tom off his feet, and sweep Star off her feet. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, or Tom, who knows, or Marco, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, going to sweep Tom off his feet and then sweep Marco, and then it's going to be a really cool reverse harem situation.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, man. All right. Adam, this was fun.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I appreciate you having me on here.
Oh, no problem at all. And hopefully we'll have you on again when we're done with season 4 and we can just do a nice, huge spoiler episode and we'll just spoil all of Star.
Oh, let's do it. Let's get it on the books once season 4 comes out, and we get through this tumultuous time. I'll say, then we can get together and we can talk about the glory days.
Ah, it sounds amazing. Adam, where can everybody? Wow, words are hard. Where can everybody find you social media wise?
You can find me on Instagram at Ninjamac, NINJAMAC, and you can find me on Twitter at _Adam M.
And we'll go ahead and put those in the show notes of the episodes. All you have to do is just scroll down, click on that little details, and you'll be able to see everything. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, on Twitter at Animate Podcast, Facebook and Tumblr, Animation Station Podcast. You can also find us on our website, animationstationpodcast.com. All of our episodes available, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, basically anywhere that you can download a podcast, we're there. We also have our weekly Unlocked streams every Wednesday night. Adam, do you know about Unlocked?
No, tell me about it.
Oh man, okay. So it's a basically it's a to put it in simple words, it's basically a mini con.
Okay.
So it was created by the voice actors David Vincent and Bryce Papenbrook. They created this app because, I mean, they're anime voice actors, so they do a lot of voices, and they go to a lot of cons, but not everybody gets their questions answered at all these cons.
Yeah.
So what they created was they created an app that's very much kind of like the Instagram Lives, except how in Instagram Lives they have that 40-second delay. With Unlocked, there's no delay. It's like 0.002 seconds. So they're able to, have people on there that people can ask questions. You can jump on other people's streams so people can crash your stream. Or you can, pull people into your stream and, chat with them face to face like that.
Cool. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. And hey, I'm sure they'd love to have you on there.
Yeah. At some point I foresee that in my future.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely free for everybody. So all they have to do is, just pop on. It's free to, watch. They just go in, check you out, and they're good to go. But we have a show every Wednesday at the wonderful time of 9 p.m. Central. So it's great if you're on the West Coast, not so great if you're on the East Coast. So that wonderful 10 p.m. time slot, we're like the news.
I like it.
Yeah, so you can catch that out on Unlocked. Again, just scroll through the details. You can click that link. It takes you right there. Adam, again, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, so for the Animation Station Podcast, I'm Josh.
And I'm Adam.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.